Hello! In my previous video, I talked a little bit about the shape of a Minecraft build, but I didn't really go into too much detail more than that. I basically said that if you combine 2 or 3 shapes together, then it'll more or less be fine. Like this build I did in the last episode, there's this big circle here, and then this square add-on here. This isn't the only option though. The most obvious thing this technique misses out on is the 3D nature of Minecraft builds. Of course, it's not necessary, but let's see what we can do if we add like extra shapes above the builds. This outline makes much more use of the 3D nature of Minecraft builds, and I'm sure it'll make for a more dynamic piece that you're just walking down the street looking at your little build. Oh, it looks fantastic. These builds I've done already have maybe 2 or 3 simple big shapes. That's pretty cool. But another approach I've seen work is where you add a whole pile of chaotic shapes. You could do this if you wanted a really busy looking house, or you didn't really enjoy the detailing step, which I'll talk about in another video. Behold my chaos house. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a large number of shapes. I do have a word of warning with builds like this, and it's very easy just to add extra bits just kind of all over the place. I would advise you have an overall shape that you build this thing inside. This whole build is contained in a rectangle that's roughly marked out by this blue wool here. If you wanted to play around with this, you could maybe have more of these big major shapes. It's really helpful though to only build bigger shapes out of these smaller shapes. This is an example of what I might try to avoid doing, where I've got all of these random squares that I've just plonked down thoughtlessly. I will be honest here, some of my favourite bases I did build like this, but that is because I like the chaos. Now the next build I'm going to make will have a really serious problem, and I'm just going to build it and I'm going to see if you notice it. Okay, let's see what I get up to. What do you think of it? Looks good, right? My idea that it's going to be a little clock tower, and there's going to be a clock here, and there's going to be like this walkway inside, and like it looks like So here's the thing. It kind of looks a bit sus. This means that this build does not pass the squid check. This goes for all graphic design in the world. To know if a build passes the squid check, you need to answer these 2 simple questions. Does it look like a penis? Does it look like a swastika? If it ends up looking like a face that goes like this, that's fine. You can live with that. But if it looks like a penis, you'll never be able to unsee it. But what happens if you've made a build that does not pass the squid check? Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fix it on this level here. You'll have to think about shapes. You'll have to add something that is super non-anatomical. Does that look better? Does that look... Be honest, does that look better? Does that look better? So... making something pass the squid check can be a little bit complicated, but I think we've done it. I think we only see it because we mentioned it. I'm sure this will be fine. This will be fine. Now, is this enough to give you enough ideas? Maybe it is, but if not, then it can be useful to have a little look at the shapes that happen in real buildings. For example, you know the shambles in York? I think the Diagon Alley in Harry Potter's based on it. It's got a very specific shape language. This particular place has a shape language a little bit like an upside down wedding cake. There's some reason for this, like something, more space, upper floors, something, counterbalancing the weight of the floors with the walls. I suppose the actual mechanisms aren't that important, but it can be interesting. Another real-world historical feature, if you're going for a more fantasy kind of thing, is what are called buttresses. Buttresses are basically support beams, so you would come across these for like castles and things. So in this example, this orange block in our imagination is really heavy, and so these blue blocks are needed to stop the red walls from falling over. Even though it's a block game, it can be interesting to add these details just to give it an extra flavour of realism. This will be it for this video on shapes. Don't forget, any build you enjoy building is a good build, so feel free to ignore anything and everything I've said here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, toodle pip.